So leave your belt aside for now. We won't need it just yet. I want to review the gentle sun salutations that we have been learning over the past couple of weeks. And then what we'll end up doing is 4 sun salutations in total. Okay, so the first one will be slow and gentle. The second 2 or 3 will be a little bit faster. Okay, so if you feel like you're a little out of your depth, just take a breather, just sit back and relax. You can catch up the next time we come around. So come on to standing at the front of your yoga mat. For those of you who need blocks in your forward bends, go ahead and have the blocks ready. And how do you know if that applies to you? If your hands do not easily reach the floor. If your hands don't easily reach the floor, then you'll want to have blocks. Okay? All right. Stand towards the front of your mat. And if you think your arms are going to bump into the person next to you, maybe bring your mat slightly forward or pull your mat back so that you're a little bit staggered so you're not banging into them. All right, now a very gentle sun salutation. We start with the feet hip width apart. Feet are mostly parallel to each other. Sorry, I need to turn on the house lights. So check that your heels are not closer than your toes. And then spinning the thumbs away from you. That simple action, it's not about the thumbs. What I'm really looking for is external rotation here. And the easiest way for me to see that you're externally rotating is the shoulder is by spinning your inner elbows away and spinning your thumbs away. And then inhale, raise the arms up to Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale to Uttanasana. Please bend your knees as much as you need to for this first sun salutation. We're taking it gently. And then inhale, coming up halfway. So that's onto your fingertips. For some of you, that's hands to knees, depending on where you're at. And then place the hands firmly down on the mat, stepping back to a high plank position. Come down onto your knees. Keep the elbows in close. This is a tricep push-up as you lower down to your belly. Roll the shoulders back. Relax the feet in a pointed position. Lifting the chin and chest. Those of you who can come up a little higher, we come up a little higher. And then taking it gently, the toes stay together, knees go apart as you sit back onto your heels, resting in Adho Mukha Virasana. If you cannot easily reach your head to the floor, then you might wish to place a block under your forehead. If this is uncomfortable for your shoulders, you might wish to bring the elbows down to the floor. But if your shoulders are happy, then reach the arms strongly forward, spreading the fingers to try and create space under the arms and around the rib cage. Try to push the hips back to the heels, trying to create more distance between your hips and your wrists. If at any point in any class you're not feeling quite right, this is always a good pose to go to. Okay? And now from here, come on up to all fours. Bring your right leg to the front. Bring your left leg to the front. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. Soft behind the knees. Pull from the hips as you raise yourself up. And exhale, arms down. All right, we'll go a little faster this time. When you're ready. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana, gazing at your knees or your belly button. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hop or step back to a high plank position. Coming down onto your knees. Those of you who want to challenge, lower down to elbow height. If you need to go to your belly, go to your belly. But if you can hold elbow height, hold there. And then inhale, pushing up to a back bend. Strong in the arms. Try not to sink between the shoulders. And then from there, toes together, knees apart as you go back to Adho Mukha Virasana, sitting back on your heels. So one reason that we like to repeat the postures is because they get a little easier each time. The first time you do a pose, you start to feel a little tightness there, a little resistance there. And it's not usually real cozy. But then when you do it the second time, and even the third time, then it starts to feel a little better. Breathing deeply, letting the chest and the belly sink down towards the floor. And then when you're ready, inhale, start to come up to all fours. Bring the left foot to the front of the mat, then the right foot. Inhale, halfway lift, looking at the floor in front of you. Exhale, forward bend. Soft behind the knees, pull from the hips as you raise yourself up. Exhale, arms down. All right, now we're going to make the next two sun salutations a little more challenging, but if that was within your comfort zone, then you stay there, okay? But if you want a little more of a challenge, we'll bring the feet together, toes together, heels together. Try to maintain a little gap between the ankle bones, which is an indication of whether or not you're pronating or supinating. And then standing taller. Inhale, raise the arms up. Exhale, forward bend. Challenge yourself by trying to keep the knees a little straighter. And then inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hop or step back to high plank. You can come down onto your knees, or if you want to try full Chaturanga Dandasana, we lower down to elbow height with the knees off the floor. And then roll up into upward dog. Upward dog has the knees and thighs off the floor. You do that by flexing your legs. So I'm still on the tops of my feet. So on the top of the feet, lifting the chin and the chest. And then from here, we'll go to Anahatasana. Anahatasana, we come down onto the knees. Knees are hip width apart, feet are hip width apart, but keep the hips high over the knees as you rest the head down on the floor. This is more challenging than what you just did, partly because it puts more stress on your shoulder girdle. There's a little more weight there on the shoulders. So if you have shoulder issues, please bring your elbows down to the floor. Or even sit back onto your heels like we did earlier. But those of you who have happy shoulder joints, we want to reach the arms forward and try to create more distance between the hips and the wrists. So reaching the arms forward, spreading the fingers. And I'll say one more thing about this posture. So Anahata is your heart chakra. And so Anahatasana is about opening the heart to the earth. So for some of you, you will easily go into a back bend, right? You don't even have to think about it. The back bend just comes naturally. Some of you, however, might prefer to stay strong in the belly and have a nice supported spine by engaging your core and keeping the spine straight. Choose a variation that's right for you, either supporting the spine by engaging your core or going soft at the belly, taking the back bend, if that's comfortable for you. Now from here, bring the hands back under the shoulders, coming up to all fours. Bring your right foot to the front, then the left foot. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. Soft behind the knees. Pull from the hips as you raise yourself up. Exhale, arms down. All right, one more time. Inhale, Urdhva. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale as you hop or step back for Chaturanga Dandasana. That's the high plank. Either come down onto your knees or hold low plank. Inhale, rolling over the toes, pushing up to upward facing dog, lifting the chin and the chest, and then stay on your knees as you sit back in Anahatasana, keeping the hips high. Feet are about hip-width apart, knees are hip-width apart. Try to keep your feet in contact with the floor. Sometimes the feet want to lift a little bit. I'm not answering that. Breathing deeply, steady the breath. And remember in this class, if anything is out of your comfort zone, if anything doesn't feel quite right, we need to fix it. We need to change that. So don't just suffer in silence. Speak up, ask a question, and let me know how you're going, if I need to fix things for you. When you're ready, come back up to all fours. Bring the left foot to the front, then the right. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend, Uttanasana. Inhale all the way up. And exhale, Tadasana. I think I may have forgotten halfway lift. Did I forget? No? Okay. All right, so today we're going to work on downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. So this is where I'd like everyone to grab a chair. Place your chair. Look, I'm going to the side so you guys can see me. But I would like the back of your chair to be towards you. I'm just going to turn down the AC a little bit. Okay, thanks. Okay, now, in downward facing dog, I'll just have to demonstrate quickly. What we're going for in downward facing dog is 90 degrees at the hips. So 90 degrees, and it's hard for me to push on this slippery floor, but 90 degrees is about there, or something like that, okay? But to get there isn't happening for everyone, mainly because of hamstring flexibility. There could be other factors, there could be shoulder issues or back issues, but for most of us, it's tight hamstrings. So when you're at home practicing yoga, as I know you are, this is something you can do to improve the flexibility of your hamstrings and just to focus on the 90 degrees. You'll place your hands at the top of your chair and step back. I'll show you to the side. You step back, and I can look in the mirror and I can see there's 90 degrees. That's about where I want to be. Now, for some of you, that's why we've got the cameras. I would like you to ask your friend, can you please take a photo? Because I want you to see, are you at 90 degrees? Is that what 90 degrees looks like? So when you're ready, take your turns, get a camera or whoever. Okay? Diana? No? Okay. Miguel, here, I'll take it when you're ready.
Oh, the chair or just the...
Yep. So there you go. All right. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Nice smile. And look at the photos. See how you look. Are you at 90 degrees? Those of you who don't have a camera, maybe use the mirror. See if you're there. See where you're at. There we go. Okay. Okay. There you go. Was it Diana? Yes. Okay. All right. Now swap partners. For those of you who need to take a photo. Okay. And then come back to your mat. I think some of you now, did you notice a hump in your back? Some of you have a hump in your back, and some of you don't. If you have a hump in your back, you need to stay with the high end of the chair. Those of you who have a straight spine, can go to the seat of the chair. All right, so some of you go ahead and take the seat of the chair. and see how you go with that. That's it. That's really good. For some of you, the seat of the chair is too low. Now, if you need to bend your knees, please bend your knees. That's okay. Bending the knees takes some of the stress off of the hamstrings. It releases some of the intensity. Okay? This is also a good option for any of you who have wrist trouble in downward facing dog. So if you find that downward facing dog hurts your wrists, always grab a chair when you come to class and you do your downward dogs with a chair. All right, now we're going to get really messy. I would like you to put the chairs back aside and take your mat to the wall. So let's take the chairs back over there. Whose beautiful Merlot colored mat is this?
Ruby.
Ruby, I like your mat. May I use it?
Sure.
Okay, thanks. All right. So as I mentioned, ladies, you can use, just go back there. Yes, yep, that's fine. Eleanor, put your mat perpendicular to the wall. And Liz, you could probably go there as well next to Eleanor. You could probably fit both of you there. Okay, so placing your blocks right up against the wall. This is where I mentioned some of you would benefit from 4 blocks. And let me show you why. If you are tight in the hamstrings, do you mind standing up against the mirror? If you're tight in the hamstrings, even getting down to those blocks is quite low. And for some of you, I would say you would even benefit from 6 blocks. Because what I want you to feel, and we're going to push into these blocks across the palm. Your thumbs go on top, and the block goes right into, right across that line of the thumb. I want you to take your downward facing dog pushing into the blocks, because I want you to feel the stretch in the legs as you're strong in the arms, pushing the blocks away. Now, I know we don't have the luxury of 6 blocks for some of you. We don't have the luxury of 4 blocks for some of you. So maybe you can negotiate with someone next to you to see if you can borrow their blocks to see how it feels with 4 blocks or 6 blocks. Some of you will be fine with just 1 block. Just 1 block under each hand. You don't have any blocks? That's good. You'll be fine. Yeah, you'll be fine with 1 block. Keep your thumb on top of the blocks. Don't let your thumb go in the front of the blocks. Thumb's pointing up. Pushing the meat of your hand into the block. And for some of you, you're able to get your feet down on the floor. So I want you to bring some weight back onto the hips so we try and stretch this out. All right, when you're ready, come on down. How is that? Is it nice to be able to push into something? If you want to try it with 4 blocks or 6 blocks, ask the nice person next to you, may I please borrow your blocks? I promise I'll give them back. All right. Now, we still want to try to get to 90 degrees. For some of you, you're not there with the blocks. The chair is best for you. But another way to get to 90 degrees is by raising your feet. And this is where we want to put the belt around the arms. I should have mentioned that, shouldn't I? Go get your belt now. We're going to use the belts. Shireen, I'm going to move this just so nobody trips on it. So it goes between, under both, and then it comes back over one. And pull it through. Hold your arms out towards me. So we want to place the belt around the meaty part of your forearm. Below the elbows. I think that's good. Yeah. Now, look here for a sec. Do you mind stepping back for the cameras? Or just come this way. That's okay. Again, some of you will benefit from 4 blocks for this. So the blocks will go at 45 degrees up the wall. Some of you won't need the extra block. Right? I know Shireen doesn't need the extra block. I've seen her in lots of classes. She'll be fine with 1 block. Test your blocks. Make sure they feel safe and sturdy. Nope, hang on. Our feet are going there. So, the belt stays around the meaty part of your forearm. You place your hands down, and then you walk your feet back onto the blocks. Now, the reason we have the belt there is because we've lifted the legs, we've lifted the hips, now there's more weight on the arms. And so the belt will prevent you from collapsing at the elbows. The belt will keep your arms strong, so you can focus on pushing and straightening the legs and hanging the head. That's why it's below the elbows. If it's above the elbows, your head will hit the belt. So we want to have the belt there across the forearms. Okay? Now when you're ready, give it a go. And now, most of you have beautiful straight spines. A straight spine means I can see a line from your hip to your wrist, and the shoulder is within that line. So that's what we're going for. Walk your hands back quite a bit, Kelly. Tamara. Oh, your belt's not tight enough. And then push the hips back. That's it. Right there. There you go. Yep. And then try to push the hips back. Can you push back? There you go. That's it. That's where we want to be. When you're ready, come on down, especially if your wrists are hurting. And then when you're ready, give it another go. Adjust your blocks if you need to. If the blocks have shifted or they're not quite where you thought they were supposed to be. If you feel like you need higher blocks, ask a neighbor if you can borrow some blocks. We have a few extra blocks around that aren't being used.
Kind of where our neck goes.
Your head hangs. The neck should be loose and soft. Yeah. Okay, come on down. I just want to say one last thing. Stay on all fours for the moment, knees and hands. I want you to look at your hands and check to see that your middle fingers are parallel to each other. The other thing I want you to check for is that your entire palm is making good contact with the mat. Not just the base of your wrist, not just the pinky side of your hand. I want you to make good contact with the entire circle of the palm, around the base of the finger joints and around the thumb and index finger joints especially. That is good downward facing dog. So we want as much surface area of the palm to be able to push away as we try and take the hips higher. Now, I'm going to grab my mat and we're going to go through full Surya Namaskara A, which is a full sun salutation with downward facing dog. You can stay where you're at. You don't need to come back into the room. But for those of you who need blocks for your hands, bring your blocks to the front. And you don't need them for your feet unless you liked how that felt, then you might keep those blocks back there. Also, you don't need the belt on the arm, so you can let that belt go. Now, downward facing dog replaces the two poses that we did on our knees, Adho Mukha Virasana and Anahatasana. Instead of those two poses, we'll come into downward facing dog. If, however, your wrists are already hurting you, your shoulders are maybe hurting you, then don't do any more downward facing dogs. Just go back, when you hear that we're coming into downward facing dog, just move on to your knees and go back into one of those poses that we did earlier on the shins, okay? When your wrists hurt, that's pretty serious business. So anytime there's pain at a joint, you want to respect that. Don't try to push through it. Now, I know we're tightly packed here at the front, so when we raise the arms up, we'll have to raise them up in front. You can't raise your arms out to the side or you'll hit the people next to you. If you want to stagger yourselves a little bit, you can stagger yourselves. If you know you're not going to use, Shireen's already started, so maybe if you want to, if the blue mat comes forward, Janice came forward, Steve, if you want to come forward, Kelly, thank you. All right, Eleanor and Michael, you might bump into each other. Here we go. Now, if you already know you've got tight hamstrings, tight hips, maybe stay with your feet hip-width apart. Those of you who are ready for the real deal, go ahead and bring your feet together. Diana, come towards the front of your mat. There you go. Spinning the thumbs away from you. If you don't think you'll hit your neighbor, raise your arms out to the side. Otherwise, we raise them to the front. Exhale, Uttanasana to the forward bend. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift, looking at the floor in front of you. Place the whole palm down, not just the thumb and the index finger, as you step back to high plank. Either come onto your knees or hold Chaturanga Dandasana. Elbow height, from the ears to the heels, we are at elbow height. And then we roll over the toes, push up to Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Now, start with the toes. Start to roll your toes over, rolling over the toes, pushing the heels away. Start to push with the arms as you bring your head down between your elbows. That's transitioning from Adho Mukha Virasana. Many of you are too far stretched out, so you need to bring your feet forward a little bit. And that's okay. For most of us, when we go from upward facing dog to downward facing dog, most of us are too stretched out. So that's okay to adjust once you get into downward facing dog. Remember, feet are hip width apart, knees are hip width apart. Push the front of the mat away as if you could create more distance between your wrists and your feet by stretching your yoga mat. Now taking a big inhale there, exhale as you bring the right foot to the front, then the left foot to the front. Inhale, halfway lift, exhale, forward bend. Soft behind the knees, pull from the hips as you raise yourself up. Exhale, arms down. All right. That is Surya Namaskara A. So where you want to try and, yes, very good, that is awesome. We want to try and do 2 more of those, but we're going to do it a little faster. The reason we do it a little faster is to try to connect the movement with the breath. So if you feel like the pace is too fast, slow down. The pace that I set is the pace that I breathe at. Your pace might be different. So when you're ready, standing in Tadasana, inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Exhale as you push down. Inhale as you push up. Exhale as you roll back. Adho Mukha Svanasana. That's downward facing dog. Those of you who need to stay on your knees, please sit back onto your knees and rest your head down. Generally, we hold downward facing dog for 3 to 5 breaths, but I'll cut you a little slack since you're new. So take a big inhale to prepare. Exhale as you hop, step, or walk to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. Soft behind the knees. Pull from the hips as you raise yourself up. Exhale, arms down. And by the way, I just want to remind you guys, if you need to bend your knees deeply to come up, then you just bend your knees and raise yourself up. That's a little safer on your lower back. So if you feel like, oh, my back is sore, this is too, please don't come up with straight legs. All right, last sun salutation. Spinning the thumbs away from you. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale up. Exhale back. So it's always nicer when the yoga teacher isn't barking orders out at you and you're just listening to your breath and listening to your body. So it's very important that if you only practice one physical aspect of yoga, that you practice sun salutations, because they work the whole body. Now, whether you make that an easy, gentle sun salutation or you make it a strong and fast sun salutation, that's up to you. So choose a variation that is right for you. Taking an inhale there to prepare. Exhale as you hop, step, or walk to the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. Soft behind the knees. Pull from the hips as you raise yourself up. And exhale, Tadasana. Stay standing there for a moment. You can almost feel the blood pulsing in your hands. So sometimes when you're feeling that lull of fatigue, doing 3 or 5 sun salutations is just enough to get you going again. And it might only take you 10 to 15 minutes, if that, maybe 5 or 10. So sun salutations are a really good thing to do and to practice. Now next time we're going to move on to Surya Namaskara B, which has 2 more postures in it. And I'm just going to introduce them very quickly. But I think we'll work on more standing poses next time. So Surya Namaskara B is just like Surya Namaskara A, which is what you just did. But it has 2 more poses in it. Utkatasana, which is powerful pose, and Virabhadrasana 1. So it's a different sort of lunge. Gazing up, hands apart or together, whatever makes you happy. So let's talk about Utkatasana first. If you like to have your feet apart, when you bend your knees need to stay apart. If that's not easy for you, then I encourage you to place a block between your knees so that you can be strong in the legs. As soon as your knees have something to push into, the legs feel much stronger. If they're there, they start wobbling, the knees start doing their own kind of thing. So just keep that in mind. If you prefer to have your feet hip-width apart, the knees stay right over the ankles. Those of you who have your feet together, the knees can push into each other, but we don't want them pressing so hard into each other that you could crack a walnut. All right, so there's a bit of pressure there, but it's more like they're supporting each other, not crushing each other. Right? So, when you're ready, either feet apart or feet together, spread your toes. Start to bend the knees. Some of you will be able to take the hands down to the knees. Some of you will be able to take the hands down to the calves. In some styles of yoga, they take the fingertips to the floor. That's a bit low for most of us, so let's just go to the calves or the knees. Try to keep your spine nice and long. So keeping the chin and chest lifted, not starting to curl the spine. All right, so we want to keep the spine nice and long. And then from here, inhale, raise the arms up, lifting the chin and the chest. That's powerful pose. If this is uncomfortable, you keep your hands on your hips. If you have high blood pressure, you keep your hands on your hips. If you're just tired, keep your hands on your hips. And then inhale, come up. Okay, so that's Utkatasana. The other pose that gets thrown in is Virabhadrasana 1. For most students, I like to tell them that we're going to take a wider stance. So some of you are fortunate to have a line straight down the middle of your mat. Those of you who don't have a line down the center of your mat, you have to imagine there's a line there. Your right foot, that's my left foot, but I say right because I'm mirroring them. Your right foot needs to be in the right side of the mat. Your left foot steps to the left side of the mat. So it's as if there was a diagonal line from one corner to the other of your mat, your feet would be on the diagonal of the mat. Now, the reason I like for students to take this wider stance is so that they can turn the hips so that the hips are aligned with the front of your mat. If you have your feet too closely in line, most students can't turn the hips around and still keep the back heel down. So that's the other factor. We want to be able to keep the heel of the left foot down. Now when you're lunging, try to keep your knee over your ankle or slightly behind the ankle. We don't want the knee going past the ankle, so you should still be able to see your toes there. The femur and the foot are mostly parallel to the mat. Sometimes the knee wants to do its own thing, especially if you're tight in the inner groin. So we want to try to stretch the adductors in the middle of, in the thigh there as we lunge. Now from here, we start to stretch. There's a big muscle here from the pubic bone to the sternum. We want to stretch that muscle, gazing up. And for those of you who feel like it, spin the thumbs away from you, raise the arms up overhead. Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. The hands are either together or apart, whatever feels right for your shoulders. If this is hard on your neck, gazing up, then just look forward. Holding there for another breath, and then exhale, start to release and change sides. So taking the left foot to the outer side of the left side of the mat, stepping the right leg back. Again, thinking of that diagonal line going across your mat and trying to stand on that diagonal. Start to bend. Let's square up the hips first. Squaring the hips towards the front of the mat. Start to bend your left knee. Try and keep the knee over the ankle or slightly behind the ankle. Check that your femur and your foot are mostly parallel to the mat, that the knee is not going off in some other direction, or the foot is going off in some other direction. Start to stretch the front of the belly. Either keep your hands on your hips or spin the thumbs away from you. Inhale, raise the arms up. Virabhadrasana 1. Stay strong in the back legs. Sometimes when our attention is turned away from the back leg or from any limb, that limb will relax and release. So we want to stay strong in the right leg. The left leg is pulling us forward. The right leg is pulling us back. Now one more inhale there. Exhale as you start to come out. Now we have about 10 minutes remaining. I think we can try Surya Namaskara B. But it is going to get warmer, so I'm going to turn the thermostat back down. Go ahead and stand at the front of your mat in Tadasana. We start with powerful pose, Utkatasana, either feet together or feet apart. We'll take the first one rather slowly. Bend your knees, inhale, Utkatasana, powerful pose. Holding there for a couple of breaths. Taking an inhale when you're ready. Exhale, forward bend, Uttanasana. Now it's sort of like Surya Namaskara A. Inhale, halfway lift. Place the hands firmly down as you step back to high plank. Come down onto your knees or keep the knees off the mat as you lower down to your belly or to low plank. Inhale, pushing up to your back bend. Rolling over the toes or stay on your knees as you press back into one of those postures we did. Either Adho Mukha Virasana, Anahatasana, or Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Now from here, let's take it easy. Everybody come on down to your knees. Take your right foot outside your right wrist. Yes, you heard me correctly. If you got to help it, grab it, bring it up towards the front of the mat. There you go. Now pick the left knee up, spin the left heel to the center of the mat. Start to come up. Adjust your hips if you need to. Inhale, raise the arms up. Warrior One, Virabhadrasana 1. Holding there for a moment. And then exhale, back to downward facing dog, or take a vinyasa. So if you just want to go, if you want to take a shortcut, you go straight to downward dog. Otherwise, we take the full vinyasa. Now, come back onto your knees. We're going to bring the left foot to the outside of the left wrist. Raise the right leg up behind, raise the right knee. Spin the right heel to the center of the mat. Inhale, coming up for Warrior One. Strong in that back leg. Try to keep the right heel down on the floor. Taking an inhale there. Exhale, start to come out. Either press back into downward facing dog or take another vinyasa. And then we hop, step, or walk to the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. Soft behind the, powerful pose. Bend the knees deeply. Raise the arms up. And then exhale, come to standing. Okay. We'll do that. We'll work on that more next class. For now, it is Shavasana. Nap time. So if you want to move away from the crowd, you can. Come and find a space where you can relax. If you need to bend your knees, please bend your knees. Sometimes it's easier to relax with the knees bent. If you have the knees bent, bring the knees together. Take the feet wide apart. Some of you might prefer to go the opposite way with the soles of the feet together, knees apart. So take the feet apart. Further. No, take the feet further apart. But keep the knees together. So there you go. So that your lower back can release. So your heart rate might still be elevated. So we take this time to try and slow down the breathing, to slow down the heart rate. Because when we slow down the heart rate, the mind gets the message that you're calm, that you're relaxed, and everything's okay. And it's in that state of mind that your muscles will start to release and relax. Start to take notice with every breath. You feel a little heavier on the exhale. Your legs feel heavier. Your arms feel heavier. Your back sinks a little deeper into the floor with each exhale. Perhaps bring your awareness to the rise and fall of your chest. And maybe you can even visualize the air flowing in and the air flowing out. Notice the path that the air follows in through your nostrils, down the back of your throat, dispersing into your lungs and then making its way back out. Perhaps you can notice your pulse in your ears, or the beating of your heart in your chest. This is how we can be present. If I left you alone in silence, your mind might wander about where you've been or where you're going. You might be contemplating the past or projecting into the future. And so to practice being present, we try to focus on the here and now and the sensations of the body and the mind. This is the first step to meditation. Meditation is not about emptying the mind. It's about clearing the mind of the clutter that's distracting you. And so by clearing away the clutter, then you can think more clearly. Keeping your eyes closed, start to bring some gentle movement into your hands and your feet, your arms and your legs. And then when you're ready to come up, bend your knees and roll to your right side. And just rest there for a moment. And when you're ready to come up, roll a little further onto your right arm. Use both arms to push yourself up to sitting. And just come to a comfortable seated position, either with your eyes closed or your gaze downwards. Sitting up nice and tall, becoming aware of your posture and your breathing. And then if you like, bring your palms together as we bow and say Namaste. Thank you, everyone.